Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your man, Sean Patel, holding it down here from the Virgin Hotel as Zepeda wins a very decisive, unanimous decision over Lamont Roach to win the WBC Lightweight Championship of the World. Let's get into it. We'll also get into the co-main event with Raymond retaining the IBF Lightweight Championship of the World. But heading in, a lot of us definitely considered the possibility that Zepeda could overwhelm and outwork Lamont Roach with his volume, which he did. But to say that's all he did would definitely be selling this fight short. Zepeda seemed to add some new wrinkles to his game since losing to Shakur Stevenson. And what I was impressed with in this fight was his sense of distance, really making the most of his 2 inches in height over Lamont Roach and his 1.5 inches or so in reach over Lamont Roach. His jab was very good in this fight, initiated and destabilized Lamont Roach, broke up his rhythm, and just off that jab, how well he kept his distance, his footwork. He actually had faster feet than Lamont Roach. As a combination puncher, he had faster hands than Lamont Roach. Lamont is a sharpshooter with single shots, but combination punching, you know, that was Zepeda tonight, as expected, but still, in that regard, that was expected. Very few people, I think, expected him to walk away with this fight 10-2, 9-3, and he did. But he had a really nice step back game, and there was one more. So in round one, Lamont Roach, he's touching the body with the straight right hand. He has the pace nice and slow, and that was a good feeling out round. It was a close round. But then Zepeda began to up the volume, and then he really had his first big momentum swing in the third round and carried the fight from that point on. Lamont Roach, he had a good 6th round. He landed a couple of big left hooks because Zepeda, for a minute there, began to give up his range and his height and began to not so much fall in, but began to smother Lamont Roach and just stay in his chest. And that let Roach get off his left hook big time with 2 big shots in the 6th round that Zepeda took well, but that was a Roach round to at least stem the momentum for a minute. But Zepeda was smart enough to go back to keeping him on the end of the jab, taking a step out of range every now and then resetting his pressure. Muratalla'S did that well against Conceição for much of their fight too. But that gave Roach problems with the shorter reach. When he was in the center of the ring, I think he was surprised by the wrinkles in Zepeda's game. When he wanted to step forward and touch Zepeda up with some shots, Zepeda knew his range, would take a step back and make him fall a little bit short with a lot of shots. That left hook that landed big a couple times in the 6th round, it was whiffing plenty of times in this fight. And Roach would have some big body shots, but they were few and far between as Zepeda just put him in the blender with the combinations up top and down below. But again, I can't stress enough how much him making the most of his advantage and reach intelligently in this fight while keeping the volume, his signature volume going, really gave Roach fits. I think Roach thought he would be in front of him a lot more, available for counter-punching opportunities in the pocket, but Zepeda never gave him that look for too long and really boxed well as swarmed Roach for many moments in this fight. So this was a new and improved Zepeda, a better version of Zepeda than we've seen before, and credit to him for winning the WBC lightweight title. This also means Shakur Stevenson stock up and Gervonta Davis's stock continues to go down, having not fought in a 1.5 years, not gonna wind up fighting for at least 2 years or so. And the guy that he had a draw with that would have been ruled a loss if the knockdown had been ruled appropriately, Lamont Roach just got handily beaten by Zepeda, who Shakur Stevenson handled in decisive fashion in a spirited fight. Zepeda was in that fight, especially the first half and a little bit thereafter, but Shakur clearly won 8 or 9 rounds in that fight. And so that's a credit to Shakur Stevenson. And also credit to Shakur Stevenson because Ropes and Conceição was beaten handily tonight by Raymond Muratalla'S. Raymond Muratalla'S beat Ropes and Conceição in better fashion than O'Shaquie Foster did, than Oscar Valdez did, certainly, but not quite as dominant as, even though on the scorecards it was actually wider for Muratalla'S, but it felt like Stevenson had his way a little bit more in dominant fashion than Muratalla'S did, who was still very good tonight. Muratalla'S, like Zepeda, did a good job resetting his positioning and his pressure. But I gotta give credit to Robson Conceição. First of all, he was 37, but he was not old tonight. He still had his legs. He still had his hand speed. And when it looked like Muratalla'S in the first half of the fight was systematically breaking Robson Conceição down, Conceição, whenever he'd eat that hard left hook to the body, whenever Muratalla'S would double up the left hook or hit him with an uppercut or throw a combination or hit him with some lead right hands like he did in the 8th round very well, Conceição would answer the call with the pride of a champion, the pride of a gold medalist and a former champion. He was stubborn, he was crafty, and again, he still had his hand speed and his legs at 37 years old. And then he threw heat in the 9th round. He really cranked it up. His power wasn't affecting Muratalla'S in this fight, but in the 9th round, he came out, really let them rip, and just let Muratalla'S know, you're not gonna be the first guy to stop me. I think the weight cut for Muratalla'S didn't allow him to find another gear late in this fight. His shots lost a little bit of steam. I think he probably wanted to shift another gear and find a way to close the show in really emphatic fashion, but Conceição was tough and all the things we mentioned. And I think that weight cut a little bit. And sometimes that is Muratalla'S MO, to be because he's a skilled fighter with hand speed and punch selection. He's a very good fighter. Sometimes he could be a little too cute for his own good, a little too smart and patient for his own good, when at some point it's really time to step on the gas and be that much more offensive. But Muratalla'S is very good, man. Good hand speed, good feet, strong fighter. And, this was his last fight at 135. I heard it was a tough weight cut coming into the arena from people I talked to. And Robert Garcia told me on Thursday that this could very well be his last fight. Apparently, he told Chris Mannix it is his last fight at lightweight. So, there you have it there. But he's pretty good, and we'll see how his strength transitions to 140, fighting bigger guys, but he's a very good quality championship level fighter, and he'll definitely be an immediate player at 140 pounds, so good stuff by him. Now, as for the future for Zepeda, Golden Boy will probably look for Kid Austin to win that WBA belt, and then inevitably set up a unification around their two fighters, William Zepeda and Kid Austin, and that'll be a very entertaining fight. Let's see how Kid Austin pulls through with Lucas Body and how he fares at the championship level. But Kid Austin did knock out Tevin Farmer in 1 round, who Zepeda went 24 rounds with. Now, Zepeda softening him up for 24 rounds and Muratalla'S going 10 rounds with him certainly helped soften him up for the kill for Kid Austin. But that would be a very exciting fight. You remember Kid Austin kind of went life or death, got dropped late against another Mexican volume puncher with heavy hands, and that was Raymond Giron. So that'd be a good one. I asked Abdullah Mason after this fight, do you knock William Zepeda out? And he smiled, and Mason isn't the type to usually feed into that kind of stuff and give a hot quote on that. I thought heading into this fight for sure that Abdullah Mason could knock out William Zepeda. I also thought he could beat Lamont Roach, but Roach, perceived by me as the craftier guy, a better defensive fighter, would be a little bit more complicated for the young Abdullah Mason, but I still thought that he could beat both guys with his advantages in reach and punching power. After tonight, I still think it's very plausible that Abdullah Mason could knock out William Zepeda, but Zepeda now, not just boring in as much, using his height better, using his reach better, having a better sense of distance, taking more angles, and he's a southpaw. That makes it more complicated. And Abdullah Mason, he's one of these lightweights like De La Hoya and Haney and Mosley. Well, Mosley a little different, but he's one of these lightweights who's a lightweight because he's 22 years old, because he's in the first half of his 20s and he can make a tough weight cut and he's not grown into his full man strength. What I'm saying is he's really a welterweight, a fighter destined to be a full-fledged welterweight. He won't be fully grown into his frame until he's a 147-pounder, but he's making lightweight as a very young man and a young champion. So, but he doesn't have his grown man strength yet, and he's still young. He's still young. I think fights like Albert Bell last time out will make him better, and he'll be an improved version gradually from fights like that. But it's still pretty young in his career to fight a guy coming off, a 30-year-old who's fought Shakur, who's fought Roach, is throwing 100 punches around. still think it's plausible that Abdullah can knock him out, but he's not grown into his grown man strength yet, and William Zepeda tonight showed he is a grown-ass man, and credit to him on a really, really, really good performance, really a great performance. And you know what? Shout out to Lamont Roach, one of the true class acts of the sport. I got a lot of love for his father, wonderful man to deal with, and Roach hung tough. He had some good spots in this fight, but it just wasn't enough. He was beaten soundly by the better fighter across the board tonight. Better feet, better jab. Oh, that's another thing. Lamont Roach couldn't jab against the southpaw. He just couldn't find that. And that was to the jab and the distance control by the longer William Zepeda. Credit to him for that. So Zapeda was a better man all around. I give him a lot of credit. It's a good spirited fight. And keep it locked in on the channel, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.